Years after going cold, the Jeffrey Epstein case is tearing open again, and this time, top Justice Department officials are turning on each other. For years, the lack of transparency surrounding Epstein's death created a vacuum of information. When the government released heavily filtered reports, public obsession filled that void with sprawling assassination theories. Highly classified documents have finally reached the public domain. These records surfaced through a heavily redacted adjacent court case, rather than the primary Epstein investigation. Buried at the center of this new dump is a physical artifact that remained out of sight for years. It's a piece of evidence that changes the known timeline of his final days. These files show the justice system breaking its own rules, followed by a years-long effort to keep the details of that failure hidden from view. In August 2019, inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, Jeffrey Epstein was being held in the days leading up to his death. Epstein shared space with Nick Tartaglione, a former police officer. Tartaglione was in custody after being convicted of a quadruple homicide. This side-by-side linguistic breakdown connects specific phrasing in a newly discovered handwritten note to past verified Epstein documents. Tartaglione found this note, which discussed Epstein taking his own life. Forensic experts analyzed the text and matched it to Epstein's unique vocabulary. By authenticating these specific phrasing patterns, the forensic evidence supports the official government conclusion that Epstein took his own life. The unredacted court files reveal that when Tartaglione handed the note to a corrections officer, he explicitly warned the guard that he feared the prison would fail to safeguard it. The note stayed out of the public record for years. By the time it surfaced, chain of custody protocols meant to preserve such evidence had already been bypassed. Internal reviews eventually documented systemic failures across the facility. Corrections officers reportedly admitted being afraid of Epstein, compromising their ability to supervise him. Because of that lack of control, Epstein operated with significant freedom. He was granted access to unrecorded phone calls, which violates federal prison rules. Federal law requires that the government prevent inmates from taking their own lives while in custody. Failing to do so creates massive legal liability for the Department of Justice. The official watchdog reports released during Merrick Garland's tenure were less comprehensive than the files emerging today, leaving the specific details of this misconduct unaddressed. During this period, Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche oversaw the redaction and withholding of documents, keeping the existence of the suicide note behind a bureaucratic wall. This handling of the files functioned as a containment strategy. It kept the evidence of institutional incompetence away from public scrutiny for over 4 years. The strategy held until a rare, veto-proof majority in Congress passed the law that ultimately forced the release of the Epstein files. That transparency law is what finally brought the unredacted Tartaglione documents into the public light just over a month ago. This disclosure forced former Attorney General Pam Bondi to testify under oath about the redaction process she had overseen. Bondi admitted to errors in the process, but then pointedly identified Todd Blanche as the official who had actually signed the delegated paperwork. This high-level infighting exposes the internal chaos within Donald Trump's Justice Department sphere, with top officials now warring over who should take the blame for the cover-up. The new files show how wealth and influence warped the justice system. The rules were bent to accommodate Epstein right up until his final hours. Investigating the predator is only the first step. True accountability requires a look at the institutions that allowed him to operate and die on his own terms.